But no, nobody out here in these uneasy streets trying to regulate witchcraft. Look at what it's done to the South African economy. Look at what it's done to South African morality. Look at what mothers are getting away with in their own backyards. And on top of that, have you ever heard of theories of motivation or operant conditioning? When you keep on rewarding random rubbish, people imagine it's worthwhile to pursue this thing that is being proliferated. So now more and more people are being, initiated into the occult because it appears to be the only way that anyone can get anywhere. And so when you've got nothing but dishonest creeps running corporate South Africa, dishonest, occult, dirty creeps, being the only ones teaching your children in school, we are dealing with a violently immoral society full of witches. And witches, since you can't trust yourselves, since you wouldn't want yourselves raising your own children, since you wouldn't want anybody like you gazing upon your own children, how are you gonna make schools have nothing but evil teachers proliferating the colorful agenda? How are you gonna have schools have nothing but evil kids initiating other kids into the occult because they learn stuff at home? How are you gonna let that run amok? How under heaven are you gonna do this without regulating it? I feel Mr. Gabriel and Gutiri alongside Schwabstizo. Yeah, y'all need to be focusing on other things. I feel as if though Agenda 2030 needs to be doing a different thing. I'm editing up tops, you guys, so I gotta check if my content is looking lovely. Lovely. Oh. Flying around all over the room. Okay, cool. Whatever. Absent, you guys, that's what I'm getting at, of regulating this stuff, we're looking at an extinction level event. We are literally looking at an extinction level event. If we are living like we're living in the tribulation before the tribulation, we are asking for the tribulation. It's unsustainable. If I'm walking outside and the sun is shining and I'm walking outside and the trees are blossoming, everything is popping, looking pretty because it's summer, and yet there is no groan or complaint about what's going on in the country, you are basically asking trees now to start withering away. You are asking flowers to not blossom. You're asking the soil not to bear fruit, because creation groans to see the sons of God revealed. If you don't repent from this rabiosh, you are bringing the end of the world about, because ain't nobody concentrating on you. Anthony Gutierrez is not looking at you. Gabriel, what's this, that guy with the long name, Gabriesis, is not looking at you. Klaus Schwab is not looking at the occult, likely because in and of themselves they're involved in darkness. Yet it is more cataclysmic than climate change. Way more. Because it is destroying all facets of kingdom's operation, a nation's operation, a global's operation. We need food. We need to make sure that there's healthcare, adequate healthcare for people. We need employment opportunities, creation of jobs. We need to create a thriving society that is sustainable in the long run. And witches literally are these barriers to entry blocking any progress from moving forward. Plus, they spread disease because their practices are awfully unhygienic. They spread disease, they kill, they lay people waste, they decimate, and then they burp saying I've done nothing. So I'm looking at corporate South Africa right now and I'm wondering, 9 years since I lost everything and I can no longer be a part of the South African economy. And I'm wondering, who's your boss? I'm wondering, who's your subordinate? I'm wondering, who is manning the call center of your company? I am wondering, who is your CEO and your general manager? I am wondering if they are innocent men and women that are just trying to work by the sweat of their brow to make their daily bread, or if they all, just to get a job interview, have done something. Witchcraft does not only get done by lofty people that in order to get to where they need to get, gotta do witchcraft. I have listened to testimonies of people that will do witchcraft just so they can purchase ditamati to sell them go Bree Street, just to get themselves started out, boosted. So literally you will find a whole ritualist sitting in a call center. And in order to get that job at the call center, they had to do a ritual where they would have blocked some other successful interviewee for that same job from getting it. You will find a ritualist selling makikipi outside of your company, lemagwing. You will find a ritualist that is your fellow business analyst or project manager. You will find a ritualist being your boss, middle management, upper middle management. You will find a ritualist then, therefore, ultimately being your executive or your CEO. They're in all layers of society. And so I'm wondering, who is manning the South African call centers? Who is sitting as warm bodies in chairs in corporate South Africa doing jobs to push this economy? Is it honest citizens? Or is it citizens that have kicked other people to the curb to be there? If everybody sitting in MTN as an employee is a witch, or if every second person or every third person is a witch, it's only a matter of time before that witch has bewitched the first, second, and third person that is not a witch out of a job. If every fourth person in a company is a dabbler, it's only a matter of time before they have knocked out person number 1, person number 2, and person number 3 out the way. They do everything to get ahead. So anyone that makes them uncomfortable, anyone that makes them even slightly jealous, will get knocked out, blown away. So even the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed new intern at MTN is in danger of being knocked out the way by yet another bright-eyed and bushy-tailed intern, so that she can be the one to get the permanent job after a year of interning, will literally bewitch all the other interns out the way. All the others. It's a disease that is spreading like a gangrene. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. It is a gangrenous disease. And if this was already happening to me 9 years ago, how much worse is it now? What is the quota of employees in corporate South Africa today, of witches, in comparison to back when I was employed? If I could get bewitched out of my team, let me just count. It was that Indian guy, it was that black girl, it was that black girl, it was that black girl, it was that black, that Indian guy. It was... yeah, out of a team, 5 people that I've just highlighted to you now that I'm remembering. And I'm speaking my immediate team. I'm not speaking extended team. In other words, I'm not speaking people that were not of my, under the line management of my boss. Our team was made up of about, at the time, like 20 project managers, testers, and business analysts. And, oh goodness, another guy, 6. I just found another dude at my mind. 7. I just found 7, like a number 7 that I'm thinking about that was part of my team. 7 people put witchcraft on me out of a team of 20 employees. Out of a team, 80. Goodness, how in the world did I forget that girl that betrayed me? 8 people out of a team of 20 business analysts, testers, and project managers. 8 people cast spells on my career. If it was that, so basically it's almost half, guys. It's like hovering on like 40%. 40% of the employees and my team were witches. What's the quota today? Because the thing about witchcraft is when it works, these people then get incentivized to keep pushing it, to keep trying again and again and again. They strive further for it. That's what I'm getting at. It is positive reinforcement, where I saw it working, Karabo lost a job, so I'm going to keep doing it. So when the more people get frustrated by being unable to get anywhere because they've got blockages, the more people are going to consult Sangomas to find out what's going on. And then the more people are going to end up relying on this darkness just to get themselves ahead in life. So what is the quota today? If at all, 8 out of 20 team members put witchcraft on me, and that's just my immediate team. I don't even have to tell you about the people in marketing. I don't gotta tell you about people in operations. I don't have to tell you about people in IT. I don't have to tell you about all those guys. I'm just speaking about the project managers, testers in my own individual team, because there were project managers and testers belonging to other business units that also put witchcraft on me. So if 8 out of a team of 20 could do that, what is the quota looking like today? It is no wonder South Africa is falling apart. This is an extinction level event. It's a gangrene. And so what then that means is that ultimately corporate South Africa is going to be a cosmic chaos. It is currently, I believe, a cosmic chaos, where unless you are actively firing darts and shooting arrows in the cosmos to innocent people, you cannot keep a job. Unless you are actively sabotaging careers using witchcraft, you can't keep a job. Meaning that the day is going to fast arrive when anyone at all that can even so much as eat bread has got to be doing a ritual. They're going to impoverish everybody else that does not want to bow down to Satan. Everybody else that does not want to do witchcraft because they've got standards, they've got rules. They were raised by a godly grandmother, so they're not going out like that. They're going to be like, okay, when I am, but met your godly grandmother and her 3 little prayers. Let's see how far they take you in an environment where everybody is a witch and they keep coming up against you. So essentially what that is saying is that nobody can work honestly anymore. No one can work honestly anymore. Never again will you ever be accoladed for a job well done because you actually put in the time. Now you're confused. You don't know if your witchcraft is what made your boss give you the promotion or the good appraisal score, or if you got it because you're just really hardworking. And when hard work doesn't matter anymore, because now you gotta have other secondary shoddy things that you do just to get ahead. There is no longer a sense of achievement. Savagery, There is no longer a sense of achievement in the ecosystem, only savagery. So when everybody is knocking each other out, my cousin, yes, like it's the world that she gained success in. I don't think she knows what it's like to have a happy, like to have job satisfaction, to have a happy like experience emsebenzini, like to really like your job, to really enjoy what you're doing, to really feel accomplished. I don't think she knows what it's like. Every promotion that I have ever gotten, every job that I have ever gotten after successfully interviewing, I felt so good. I felt like I was so smart. I felt like I was so gifted. I felt like I was so skilled and talented because I beat all the other 9 candidates in this interview to get that job. I felt good. So hard work was worth it. But when you go to a job interview knowing that it's a done deal because you've manipulated things spiritually, when you've already like slipped in a bribe into an ecosystem, or you have manipulated spiritually the mind of your boss to give you a good appraisal, where is the sense of achievement? All you get is a good bonus because you got a good appraisal. But have you earned it? And when you have no sense of achievement, what is left? When you're not really sure if you're good at what you do, you know what you end up doing? You end up persecuting people that are actually really good. You end up afflicting the youth in the company that are still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You end up hating them. You hate their zeal, their innovative spunk. You hate their suggestions. Everything they have to throw in the room, you are shunning it because you are self-doubting now, because you don't know whether or not this is your witchcraft or if you're really good. You no longer know if that's what's going on. And run on corporate that's filled with such people. I'm sorry, it's a savage game. It's a beastly affair. I keep on looking at my mom and I wonder, what's your relationship with your colleagues like? Are you really happy? My little sister, they literally get themselves initiated into the occult and then they realize it does not pay off. And then once they realize it doesn't pay off, they persecute people who have not partaken in the occult. And when then they persecute people who have not partaken in the occult, they get blocked. And upon them being blocked, they then basically initiate them into the occult. So they make a bit of a karabo, end up, even though she would never have touched this rubbish, consulting a sangoma to please help in Dlelazam. I was okay at some point. I was growing, I was doing well in my job, but now everything has been shut. Help me along. They literally are initiating people into the occult by simply being barriers to entry. I'm sorry, my darlings, that's called an extinction level event, because when everybody is evil and everybody is full of sabotage and everybody cannot come up for air unless they bow down to Satan, that is a world that God did not create. That is bringing about the tribulation. Do you understand? That is bringing about a time in the history of the human race where in the absence of taking a mark on your forehead and on your right hand, you cannot buy or sell. That's creating an economy of evil. In the tribulation, it is written about the mark of the beast that the Antichrist is going to cause both big and small, slave and free, to get a mark put on their forehead or on their right hand. That anybody that does not have the mark cannot buy or sell without it. Do you understand? And the number is 666. Go and read Revelation 13. You will gauge those scriptures. We're headed there. We're headed there. So when it says in neither, what was this, both great and small, slave and bond. So basically prisoners and people that are domestic servants, like the lowliest. It's basically saying even from the lowliest people in society to the loftiest. So from the lady that's selling my keep on the side of the street, Kopri, all the way up to Klaus Schwab. In order to eat, they've got to take this mark of the beast. That's why even the call center agents target other people to get that job. That's why I am saying even the switchboard operator, even though she's earning like 7,000 rands a month, nothing to write home about, it's a worthless salary, she has nonetheless done a spell just to get that job. You've got people who are earning 2, 3, 4,000 rands a month, Koskiri security guards, that had to do a demonic ritual just to earn 4 grand. The standards are getting lower and lower as to what people are prepared to sell their souls for. Feasible, it's fathomable to imagine a time when slave and bond were free and slave, and we have both free and enslaved, and rich and small, great and small, will take a mark, because rituals are done across all echelons of society, and that is a society that is unsustainable. When everybody is busy taking the mark of the beast just to eat their daily bread, the world is over according to the Bible. And while we might not be in the tribulation yet, everything is starting to look that way. So if you want to avoid a time like that, policies have to be put in place by governments of the world to basically regulate witchcraft so that there can be people on the earth that are actually able to work by the sweat of their brow and get paid. In other words, people that simply just want to work in the call center, go home and eat a pineapple without first doing a ritual. People that just want ukuzisebenzela without compromising to usatan. They get to do that. And if the global elites will not work to ensure that that is a possibility, they're basically asking for the end of the world to come. They're begging for it. The fact that not occult practitioners, but global elites are not focusing their energies on occult magic, on the regulation of occult magic. The fact that they're not actively working to regulate it. Evidence is either their own diabolical involvement in the occult, or their ignorance concerning it, or their deliberate disregard of it because they're trying to use it to cause so much calamity or chaos on the earth that they can then rock up and be the ones to rescue the day, much like within the Hegelian dialectic, where they will cause disaster on the ground just so they can bring about the solution in order to control us all. So it's one of three things. Can you really be so demonically possessed? Or can you really be so glad to have acquired your riches through Satan that you would not want the world to not do what you did? I mean, if you are a witch, if you're a witch mom and you know what you had to do to get ahead, if at all you have any kind of faculties or reasonableness in your mind, would you want your children to do what you did to get ahead? Or are you doing what you did in order to survive your own poverty so your kids won't have to go through it? And so therefore, you would not want your kid touching any of that. Isn't that how most parents think? They do some pretty shoddy things. They get into prostitution. They get bribed. They partake in extortion. They basically commit crimes of the decade so their children don't have to. That's how the earth used to be, where mom will have been like a whole bandit just so the kids can live honest lives. So when that has been taken out of humanity's hearts, it's over for us. So all of these municipal councillors, these government officials that had to do hard knock rituals just to become politicians, do you really want your countrymen to be like you? Would you want the nation just running rampant, doing the same rituals you did? No. If at all you're still reasonable in any kind of regard, you're like a dad that committed the crimes of the decade so your kids don't have to. A lot of these people get themselves into positions of power because they've got delusions of grandeur, or they've got visions of improvement in the future. They've got visions as to what they want to do for societies. Look at Pablo Escobar, for instance. He was this whole drug trafficker, but he had a heart for the poverty-stricken people of Colombia. So he wanted to become a politician to eradicate hunger. He wanted to deal with the poverty in the slums of Colombia. So he had an altruistic vision, albeit in and of himself being a gangster. Like a whole gangster. He tried to become a politician, did not get very far because of that mugshot. Nonetheless, that whole phenomenon happening inside Pablo Escobar tends to be the hearts of many politicians. They genuinely for their countries, but what they have to do to get ahead is so wicked that they would not want their countrymen, everybody just trying what they did. Would you want your child to become a gangster as a gangster? Largely, parents who do some pretty crooked stuff don't want their kids doing it. So that's why Anthony Guterres, that's why Klaus Schwab, that's why Gabriel, that's why global elites. You're evil. They're evil. We get it. They're entirely evil. But evil as they might be, they've got some kind of a warped sense of what is wrong and right and the greater good. It's a warped sense of that. And so something in them knows that a world where everybody would do what they had to do to get ahead is a world that is over. It's extinct. It is literally an extinction level event to allow witchcraft to run rampant. So members of the Illuminati, Freemasons of the planet, all of your random gangsters trying to control everybody. Everybody is being initiated into the things that you're into. People are trying to join the Illuminati even though it's by invitation. People are trying to do all the rituals it took for you to get to where you're at. Would you want a world full of people like you? You know that it's unsustainable. It is filthy. Why? Because of what you've had to do to get to where you have to get. You've had to kill, sacrifice family members. You've had to drink blood. You've had to eat rotten meat. You've had to partake in sex rituals. You've had to do such horrible things that you would not want to live in a world where everybody's doing that. And in South Africa, the epidemic and the disease are so extreme that I woke up this morning wondering why the trees are even blossoming. Why everything is still looking good. Why is the sun still rising? Because literally every second person in my country is a witch. They are practicing such dark things that I don't even know why the sun rises on this land every day. I guess that's the grace of God. It's unsustainable. It is so unsustainable that it is impossible for a person to just live an honest life that is above reproach in South Africa without being met with such barriers to entry, with such a blockage later on, that they're going to have to unleash themselves to Satan at some point. They're going to have to do a satanic ritual. They're going to have to allow themselves to get demonically possessed, even though they would never have done that before. Even though they were raised better, even though their grandmother knew better, even though they were taught better, even though they in and of themselves found it detestable, distasteful. My ex-boyfriend, for instance, we used to laugh at witches. There was a couple that one of the girlfriend was always bewitching the guy, and we used to laugh at them. We thought their relationship was a circus. And then later on, he became that menace to me. He became the person Opizo controller his lover with witchcraft. When we used to laugh at a woman that was controlling her lover with witchcraft, we used to make a joke out of their relationship. It was like a circus. And ours then became the circus later on. Our relationship became the circus and I became the zombie. I became the puppet on the string. I became the person cajoled and controlled by a man and struggling to leave. Using witchcraft. At what point did my ex graduate to that point? When did he magnify himself to that level? When did he stop thinking of this as just this worthless act that makes relationships a circus? To, it's the necessary evil for me to do in order to control my girlfriend and keep her in the room. So people are being initiated into the occult at an alarming rate. Because of desperation, whatever it is that pushes them to that point. The guy that would never have touched witchcraft now is so desperate to keep his girlfriend that Omolata bring back lost lover. There's another woman, I was listening to her testimony, the internet, right, in African Confessions, who mistakenly killed her boyfriend with a love ritual, bring back lost lover, but that same night the Sangoma tricked her and rather did a death spell because he was desperate for blood. And so instead of doing bring back lost lover, he killed that guy in order to thrive his own business. So her boyfriend passed away in a car accident because she dreamt the night before stabbing him to death, and then the next day he got hit by a car as he was crossing the street and he passed away. She was trying to bring him back. What put her in that point? What brought her to that level? A suffering, and that boyfriend wanting to leave, and because she thought this was the love of my life forever, I just want my lover to come back. I want nothing else. I just want my boyfriend to come back. She then consulted a Sangoma, the Sangoma of which tricked her and rather did a death spell instead of a bring back lost lover, and the boyfriend died. So that's a woman that got initiated into the occult by desperation. Just a lack of contentment with what you've been given. This world can never ever work perfectly for everybody. So you win some, you lose some. Sometimes your girlfriend falls out of love with you. Sometimes your husband wants a divorce. These things happen. You don't get to get initiated into the occult because of desperation. Let it go. Allow time to heal you. I fell in love with a guy that did not make sense for me. If anything, he was involved in the occult. I thought he was my husband. When I found out that he had married another woman, I was so devastated that I kept on basically saying to my mind, there is no way that he is her husband because God showed me. I believe the Lord showed me that he's mine. I was literally thinking in my mind that an annulment is due. What did I do? I got down on my knees and I begged God to heal my heart. About 6 months for me to entirely recover, but it took about 3 months for me to stop crying. I nonetheless eventually stopped crying. And now today, I can't even imagine myself with him. I realized it was good riddance. I dodged a bullet because he was in the occult. He was one of those filthy men dabbling with with witchcraft while claiming to be a Christian. So I dodged a bullet. They married each other. They deserved each other. She had done a ritual on him to make sure that he marries her. To make proper, this woman came into his life. Something goodness. They were married within 5 or 6 months of meeting. So I was there first. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. I was there first. And this woman took me over because the moment she saw him, she was like, he's mine. And indeed, he fell under those curses. Why? Because he was in and of himself involved in the darkness. So because he was involved in darkness, he fell away. He was able to get easily just taken away. He was taken by the wind. And the pain that I felt was so exquisite that I thoroughly imagined an annulment was due. That he was mine. But instead of turning to the occult because I knew it was not an option, I prayed. And I asked the Lord to heal me, and it took time for me to stop crying and time for me to get over him. And now today, I am so relieved from what it is that it was that I can't even fathom ever having ended up with him. I realized I would have been a very unhappy wife if I had settled for that guy. So that woman did me a favor by snatching the eyes away from me of a man that was already deeply involved in demonic. It's not worth it. We gotta wait on the Lord. And when nobody can keep their hands clean from partaking in occult, the world is ending. It is literally an extinction level But don't take my word for it. Only look at the Bible. How it is that when people unleash to Satan, all that's next due in line to happen is the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. If people don't want a world like that, they gotta pray and repent so as to stay the hand of the Lord from rapturing the church and from ending this concern with the tribulation. But the way that things are happening right now, it looks like we're fast-tracked headed to a society where everybody now will take the mark of the beast, because it's already happening. People are already selling their souls to get basic call center jobs, to get basic receptionist jobs, to get basic stalls at a flea market so as to sell their product. Things that aren't even going to make them hundreds of thousands of rands. They are selling their souls for. When back in the day, all you needed to do was apply. Like send your CV out in the market to 10,000 companies, maybe one will call you. And then you will interview there and get your first job ever. Even though it took a whole year of you sitting at home, doing nothing, struggling. Kodwa, you finally, after 1 year, after 18 months, you got the job now. Kids don't even want to wait after matric. The moment they struggle for 5 months after high school, it's a satanic ritual. An interview at call center, Yako Vodacom. What in the world? What in the world? So before your career starts, you are already a ritualist. What are you going to do when you finally get to the level that you want to get to? What are you going to do to get there? And once you're there, how dirty are you going to play? How dirty are you going to play? When your innocence has been robbed away from you before you even work your first job, before you even get to see the savagery of corporate, before you even get to have your innocence stripped away by the observation of how nasty people in corporate can be. So nkilwe. Before you can even set foot into the interview, that job. And now you rely on the darkness. Now you think that this is the reason why you got that job interview. This is the reason why you successfully interviewed. And so now you will struggle to not do a ritual every time you apply for a job on the company intranet, every time you apply for a job on or Career Junction or whatever. Now everything is done through rituals, meaning that you are actively sabotaging everybody else that's applying for the same job on Career Junction, everybody else that's applying for the same job on PNet, everybody else that's applying for the same job in the company that you work for, on the intranet, on the internal internet. Now you have sabotaged their chances. It is no wonder the economy is falling apart. The best people are not the ones working jobs. It's the most spiritually advantageous. Those that have taken advantage, the existence of demons, spiritual forces. Those that have taken advantage of these forces are the ones that get the jobs. Every colleague, Kimoloi, or every second colleague, Kimoloi, there is no future. The new recruit that is looking forward to the next 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50 years in corporate South Africa. The bright-eyed and bushy-tailed intern, graduate from this university, her future is already over before it starts when she is working in corporate South Africa. Because in the absence of her dabbling with darkness, she's not going to grow. Because there will be a colleague next to her playing dirty, pulling the rug from under her feet. My whole career was stolen, do you understand, by some Indian girl who did not have the qualifications, neither the credentials to be a project manager, that was lazy and the bane of my boss's existence. Nonetheless, she was able to keep the job while I lost it. So all that MTN has is that chick, while I have no job. So my skills are unimportant. What matters is that somebody that could do witchcraft got the opportunity, and today she's still employed while I am sitting gathering dust at the back of my mother's house. And others are like, Rabo, you need to do a ritual to get ahead. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet lose his soul? Besides, this season that I am in now, only evidence is that we're so close to the rapture, so close that all I gotta do is hold on to Jesus for a few more minutes, and then I will go in the sky. Because everybody right now is bowing down and take the mark of the beast. People in desperation are selling their souls to the devil for 5 randa, for 200 rands, for a stupid salary at 10,000 rands. They will sell their soul to the devil. They will make themselves junkies of witchcraft. I'm sorry, I've got skills. I'm sorry, I'm intelligent. I'm sorry, I'm educated. That should be enough. I'm sorry, I'm hardworking. That should be enough. But it's not anymore. People can't just work by the sweat of their brow. Now they gotta, over and above putting in all the time and the hard work, also do a satanic ritual. I gotta sell my soul to the devil. After grinding like a dog at university for years, I gotta sell my soul to the devil. After putting in the time, working, burning the midnight oil, working on projects while everybody else is sleeping, like at 2 a.m. I'm on my computer. After putting in all that time, I still gotta do a devil ritual. After putting in all that time, I still have to go in your Vakashali Sangom. If it's not enough for me to work extra hours, if it's not enough for me to study like a dog so I can get my distinction, if it is not enough to graduate, if it is not enough for me to put in the time to basically walk on water to show my boss that I'm worth it, to agree to do volunteer work just so I can get seen and so therefore maybe promoted to permanent. If it's not enough for me to do all that, then it's fine. I'll take poverty, because last time I checked, hard work ought to have been enough. I will take poverty, because angiyozibulala mina ngosatani. Go and spend eternity burning in hell, where the smoke of my torment rises up forever, where the worm dieth not, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth, just so I can get a salary for all the work I do. So basically what they're saying is, Garabo, you can work like a dog, you can grind, you can study like a monster at varsity so you can come top of your class, you can do all that jazz, but unless you do a ritual, it's not gonna bear you fruit. It's not gonna, long story short, earn you a salary. That's exactly what's happening with me right now. I work like a dog every single day. Every single day. I do these videos, I edit them, I upload them, I exercise and I upload that. I do everything I do on a daily basis, almost literally more work than you would ever put in sitting in a 9-to-5 job, and I do it every day, so I don't even get breaks on the weekend. The only thing that gives me a break is exercise. I don't work out on the weekends. I'm doing all that it would require according to the Bible to get a salary, but I don't have one, because witches are blocking my ability to make money with what it is that is the hard work I am putting in. So that's when the way no. And in order for me so I can basically liquidate my skills and actually get cash flow all up in micro, to be more liquid, I gotta do a ritual. It has nothing, for real, kanete, to do with my skill. My hard work is not enough. That's not what gets me congratulated anymore. That's not what makes me get a salary at the end of the month, for real. I have to, over and above this, also do a ritual. The ritual does what exactly? There's no work involved in the ritual. There is nothing at all that makes sense for me to do it in order to make money. I can see why I have to work 2 extra hours to get a salary at work or to get a promotion, but I cannot see why I have to do an extra ritual to get a salary. It does not make sense at all. So you are literally just selling your soul to the devil, when the Lord said, work heartily as unto the Lord. He said, do not grow weary of doing good, because then in due season you will reap the peaceful fruit of righteousness if you don't give up. You will reap what you sow. So if you put in the time, you ought anticipate, according to the Bible, to biblical principles, that you will sow what you reap. So I am expecting that ultimately this is going to pay me, because that's what the Bible says is going to happen. But people in the occult, instant gratification, microwave babies, they want it and they want it now. Cannot wait. And so because they cannot wait, they are properly going on right ahead to do an extra, it's like an extra, or an extra finger. It's like an irrelevant organ in the body, like the appendix. It has absolutely no functionality. You can do without it. Nonetheless, you're running that route. You are causing yourself a great deal of spiritual anguish just so you can earn a salary from the hard work you have actually done. I'm sorry. Witchcraft is not regulated. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But in a world where no longer are people being rewarded for simply working hard, but they now have to over and above it do rituals, that's a world that looks very much to me like the days of Noah, where the thoughts and intentions of mankind are evil continually, and so God had to flood it. It just looks like the end of the world. This here is an extinction level event. If people can no longer bread just from hard work, when no one's skills matter anymore, when your jokes, even though they're funny, nobody's trying to pay you for them anymore, when nobody is trying to give you your certificate of completion at a university, even though you put in the time, you studied and you paid the fees. That's an irresponsibly legal entity that is stealing from people that which is rightfully theirs. And last time I checked, there's only one thief out here. It's the devil. He steals, he kills, and he destroys. Destroys what? Your soul. After what? Stealing your hard work. You worked, you put in the time. God says wait, and in due season you will earn what you worked for. If you don't want to do that, but I'm not going to go and deal with some like extra finger worth of a process just to make money. Irrelevant. I've done all I need to do. All I need to do. I therefore must just wait for me to cash in at the end of the month. And I don't know what the tantamount of the end of the month is for me. In other words, whatever that would equate the day of my salary, but it's coming. And it's going to rain down on me like confetti just as the amount of time I put in. And on that day, people in the occult are going to feel so dumb. They're going to feel so dumb. They're going to feel like, my goodness, so I wasted the appendix. I wasted a phalange, an extra phalange. I wasted just some extra little like horn, like a different, like just some irrelevant body part that I grew. Like I grew an extra nose when the one that I already had was breathing perfectly. It's literally like an extra organ, an extra eye, an extra nose, an extra boob. You don't need it, but it's there. That's what the occult is, to push you along. When you can actually work, when you're actually good at what you do, you literally are like growing an extra ear. You don't need it because you can hear with the 2 ears you have. But somebody has deceived you into believing that you gotta grow an extra ear. And so people who now have extra ears are trying to force other people to get extra ears, noses, eyes, brows. They're trying to get people to get 2 heads instead of 1. And it's like this little funny addendum, this attachment, this growth, this tumor on me. Angifuni. You roam with your cancerous extra growth that is unnecessary. I'm quite happy to be healthy with nothing malignant tied to my body because I belong to Jesus. So witches, don't pride yourself in the fact that your industry is unregulated and so you get to do whatever you want to do. All you're doing is bringing about the end of the world. You're literally causing creation to groan. That even though the trees might be green, understand they're not just smiling sitting there. They're hurt that I'm unemployed. They're hurt that I'm the only member of my extended family that doesn't have a job. They're hurt that I am a travesty, that I work as hard as I do, yet nonetheless I'm unable to make money. They are hurt. You don't see it yet, but the day is going to arrive when it is clear that creation is groaning. It is going to fall on you. It is going to turn like to wither away. Trees will wither away. Plants will no longer bear fruit. Do you understand? The earth is going to crack up and open, swallowing people whole. The tribulation is coming, and in the tribulation, creation is going to do a wonderful act. You must understand, it will finally say, Karabo, this is your day. This is your day. Remember back on the 5th of October in 2023, you were crying, wondering why I was busy blooming? It was because the Lord had not yet given me permission to stop bringing forth fruit, that they might all go hungry. The day's gonna arrive when a quarter wheat for a denarius. Do not harm the oil and the wine. Like a day's wages for a loaf of bread. The day's gonna come when I'm not going to bring forth fruit. And on that day, there will be witches, but there'll also be witches where trees don't bring forth. On that day, I am going to groan as a tree in a way that is evident, but the time has not yet arrived. Wait patiently on the Lord and watch him cause my groaning to manifest physically, but it is not yet time. Do not cry because the sun is rising every day in summer, and it's a beautiful day that you can go outside with an umbrella and walk your dog. And it's pretty, it's beautiful. The air is still, the air smells beautiful. Everything looks good. Do not groan when the sun is doing that, because remember, it is written in God's word in the book of Revelation that God is going to put a plague on the sun, and men will be scorched with great, and they will groan and blaspheme God in heaven because their pain was too great. The day when the sun is not merely going to shine just enough to give you a nice summer day at the park picnicking with your husband. Now it's going to burn mankind literally to death. That date has not come. I was groaning because creation looked like it was happy. But no, it's not time. It is yet to be the tribulation. But the global elites and men and women of this world that run it, that rule the earth, are dumb enough and not responsible enough to try and stay the earth's hands from doing what they do to get ahead. They're like irresponsible parents that are thoroughly trying to induct their own sons and daughters into witchcraft or gangsterism because they were gangsters. Like bad men who are happy that their kids should die young from being gangsters because they think that they can that are going to get to the age of 90 as gangsters, and then you end up being the dad of a gangster son that dies at 18 because you try to induct your child into your own industry, but your kid dies early. These global elites are exactly like irresponsible gangsters that are happy to initiate their own children into a life of gangster banging. It's irresponsible. Evil parents try to do a better thing by their children, but now they're getting their kids into the same industry. It's the end of the world. No one is responsible anymore. So all I'm gonna do, I guess, then is wait for the Lord to judge the earth. My laments about the fact that the sun is shining, the Lord sees them and he also agrees with me. The sun is shining on wicked men that are enjoying a planet that they don't deserve. You don't deserve for the sun to shine and not scorch you entirely. You don't deserve for the wind to breeze against your neck, even against your skin on a hot day, so you are cooled down. You don't deserve the budding trees. You don't deserve the blossoming flowers in the garden. You don't deserve to see a blade of grass that is still green. Everything gotta wither in your grow because of what you've done to the lands you're living in. But right now you're under grace, and so you don't see that you don't deserve the world you live in. It's about to spit you. Watch this space. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K.